Hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello from my heart to yours.
Hey everybody, welcome to Downballot. We do this show live most Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Support this project, just go to echoplexmedia.com and click the support link at the top of the website, and you can make your own decisions from there. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave.
And what's up, everybody? Joining you as always, producer Dave. This is the Councilman. You can find me on the Blue Sky at PJ Allen TWO. That's PJ Allen 2. Couldn't get there in time to get the number, unfortunately. And right now, you can find me nursing big ass cut in my thumb that I got from opening up an orange for Bad Baby to eat as part of her dinner. So hopefully, it'll stop bleeding by the time the the set ends. But I'll be doing all right. I've got a beer. I've got my phone. I've got you. I've got the chat. Everyone's going to keep me company while I suffer. And really, what's a little blood in the greater scheme of things?
We're already at Old Man Yells at Orange. This is great.
We should probably make that a whole separate like section of the show, right? Get your shit together, followed by Old Man Yells at Fruit.
So, leading off, we got. I'm pretty proud of myself. I predicted something last week, and I think my logic was sound, and it turned out I was right. So let's hear about it from the local news, and then we'll talk about it in a second. Also, it looks like whatever day this was, traffic wasn't too bad in the Bay Area.
Not too shabby, except maybe westbound on the Bay Bridge.
Speaker Nancy Pilosi, who has served San Francisco for 38 years, just announced she is not seeking re-election in 2026.
Let's go live to Today in the Bay's Ginger Conejero-Sop. She's in San Francisco. And Ginger, this news broke about 30 minutes ago. So what do we know at this point?
That is right. I mean, it is breaking news, Marcus and Laura. It's the answer to a question that so many people have been asking leading up to this point. But to this point, former Speaker Pelosi has said she will not make any announcement about the future of her career until after the November election, the special election that just happened on Tuesday. Now we have that. Now I want to show you that major announcement coming down from Representative Pelosi this morning. Much of her announcement was about San Francisco and the honor she has had in serving the people of the city. Now, she had what was started by saying that the city is synonymous with.
They fucked up there. The producer was in here going, "We don't have sound on the on the video." Vamp.
Cradle for innovation. It buzzes with optimism and creativity. And I want to read you a bit of what she also said. That is why, she says, I want you, my fellow San Franciscans, to be the first to know I will not be seeking re-election to Congress. With a grateful heart, I look forward to my final year of service as your proud representative as we go forward. My message to the city I love is this. She goes on further to say, San Francisco, know your power. We have made history. We have made progress. We have always led the way. And now we must continue to do so by remaining full participants in our democracy and fighting for the American ideals we hold dear. Now, Representative Pelosi has been in Congress for a number of decades, 38 years at this point. She will close out her last term in Congress just shy of 40 years. She was the first woman to lead a major party, the first woman Speaker of the House. And so she's broken barriers in Congress, here as well on the local front. But this major announcement and this personal one from Representative Pelosi is also huge for the Democratic Party. And now asking the question, who will now fill that seat? Now, Scott Wiener, State Senator Scott Wiener, has announced that he will run for Pelosi's seat. He made that announcement a couple weeks ago. He is one of the first to do so, but we imagine that more people will throw their hat into the race. But today, that question might be then for tomorrow, but today it is about this big announcement from Representative Pilosi. And if you listen to her announcement, it also sounds like a love letter of sorts to San Francisco and the people of San Francisco, where this all really started and continues. So, guys, we'll have more on that as the morning continues. But for now, we're live in San Francisco. Ginger Conejero-Sop, Today in the Bay.
Yeah, 100%. He knew. That Scott Wiener knew that she was not going to run again. 105%. Like certainty.
Yeah, very much so. I think when the good wife rolled over, 7:00 in the morning, and told me this news, the first thing I said was, "Well, that's leading off Downballot this week." Producer Dave was right, and I think we kind of saw it coming. She obviously was very prepared for this. Had the video that they didn't have audio from announcement there with a nice glossy imagery, and then the historical video footage and the whole love letter thing. So she was absolutely ready for this. She's been planning this, and it was kind of one of the worst kept secrets probably in local politics. But I think because Scott Wiener had announced so early and before this announcement that there was some speculation that perhaps it wasn't going to happen and he was trying to force the issue. I think it was more that he was just trying to get out the gate and get some fundraising going and try to clear the field a little bit, right? Make himself the sort of fait accompli candidate, especially with that other tech bro out there lingering, wanting to make a run. So he kind of peed on the seat to begin with. And this exit, leaves him in good position, well positioned to take the sort of front runner status in the race. Regardless of who jumps in, I don't know who else will jump in. It's an open congressional seat. It's San Francisco, so you can imagine we'll be talking about this a lot in down ballot over the next year. Who's in, who's out, and who's going to win. But yeah, kudos to you. I think that you absolutely nailed it. Something was coming down the pipe, and
like the reason I thought so is like Scott Wiener's like not super mainstream, but he's not like not in the Democratic machine sort of apparatus, and that's why I assumed that he did this because she wasn't going to run again. Like I don't, like whatever. Like he's he's not like a national name or anything like that. He's not a powerful figure in the Democratic Party, but he is. Always has their endorsement, is like just part of that machine. And San Francisco, like any other city, really, like the politics, everybody fucking knows everybody and everybody talks. And I don't even imagine it was a surprise to Nancy Pelosi that he announced before she dropped out. I imagine his people probably spoke to her people and made sure that she was, that was a reasonable thing, or that somebody spoke to somebody about it before he announced, I think.
Yeah, and maybe not even in any sort of official way where they were talking to each other, but more just in the wind, right? Like people that know him heard from people that know her, and there's just really strong indications, right? Like that kind of 99.9% certainty type of thing. Yeah, and he's very much, Scott Wiener has been a big housing advocate, a big progressive ally, or at least seen as a progressive ally, although it's San Francisco, they're basically like shades of blue up there. So there's also folks, they call him more of a moderate. When it comes to San Francisco politics. And Nancy Pelosi probably would be called similar, and even worse in some circles. So he's certainly an establishment Democrat. And so the establishment knows itself and understands itself. And again, yeah, I think you're right. There's no way he would jump into this race if there wasn't some kind of certainty that he wasn't going to be running against Nancy Pelosi, like an institution, right? Other than
it's just a bad look to get your ass handed to you too. Like,
it is. The notion I floated was that, because there is very much so sentiment out there in the greater populace, but also in the Democratic Party of, just getting some change going, getting the old guard out and getting some new blood, fresh blood in. And it happened, in a small, Nancy Pelosi is obviously a national figure, a very larger than life figure in a way within the party and in local and national politics. But this happened in a very, sort of different but smaller way down here in the South Bay with Mike Honda, who had been in Congress for many, many years, decades, and was challenged by Ro Khanna originally. And Mike, continued running and ran and won and beat Khanna back in his first challenge. But it was, Khanna did not get his butt handed to him. And there was enough sentiment out there that he felt he had an opportunity. And in a way, he really used his first race against Honda to build his credibility and his base for the next run when he did beat Honda. And Honda had kind of checked out of his seat and wasn't really putting up much of a fight. Although he didn't resign, he certainly wasn't putting up as strong of a fight anymore because he kind of read the writing on the wall. So that was the only thought I had here, is that if Pelosi were to run again, Wiener was really just trying to build for the eventual moment when she did back out or resign, or maybe he saw, he could expose some vulnerability and take advantage of that 2 years from now, because these races happen every 2 years. And like I think we talked about last week, I believe he is midterm in his Senate term, so he can run for this while maintaining his state Senate seat if he were to lose, right? But now it seems like he's in a much better position to win. And the districts don't completely overlap, but there's a lot of overlap. So there's a lot of voters, while he may not be known broadly outside of the Bay Area or California, the voters in this district know him, right? He's a known commodity. So he's got an instant base to build from that most other candidates for this seat will not have. Depending on who it is, right? And who knows who will jump in eventually. But he's in good position, and I agree with you. I don't know that he would have jumped completely in if he didn't have some inclination that there was either a vulnerability there, or he had some notion that she was going to be stepping aside. And really, she kind of telegraphed it a bit by saying, we'll wait till after the election, right? Don't want to steal thunder from
right, because if she was she wasn't gonna resign or like not, she didn't resign, right? If she wasn't going to not seek re-election, she would have probably just during Prop 50 been like, I don't know why you're talking about this. Of course I'm running for re-election.
Right. But let's not talk about that. But really, she was just she didn't want to distract. This is obviously a huge story, right? And became a huge story as soon as she announced her retirement. And that would have distracted in a way from the message of Prop 50 and really trying to make sure that was driven home and was successful, because it meant a lot to her. Like, she's leaving she has to leave a legacy, right? And she didn't want to be the person who prevented Democrats from retaking the House, right, and stopping the Trump regime,
or from caring about a proposition, because she's also like,
right.
She's also, I don't know personally, but politically, she's pretty close to Gavin Newsom.
Correct.
Not like I'm not saying like their politics are always simpatico. I'm just saying like that they're always together. Like, you know what I'm saying? You see them together a lot.
Very much so. I mean, last week we saw the rally for Prop 50 that Gavin staged towards the end of the campaign, and she basically got up there and endorsed him for president without like saying it, right? But she's absolutely on Team Gavin. And didn't want to steal his thunder and make it about her. So, in that way, a classy move, right? Some more traditionally classy political move. You don't see as much of that these days when everyone's sort of scrambling and jockeying for position. We'll get to that in a second. So good on her for reading the writing on the wall, getting out while she's still somewhat on top. It sucks that she has to go out in the middle of the Trump regime, but I think she recognizes the need for fresh leadership. And honestly, she's probably tired. Like, it will have been for,
I mean, not
Ginger
for nothing.
it
hasn't been that long since somebody showed up at her house and fucking like almost killed her husband and tried to kill her.
Correct. So I think she's probably a little bit done with this, and I think she deserves retirement. She deserves some time, some rest, and she also she's a
big fan of ice cream. She can eat all that ice cream that's in that refrigerator. They were trying to like make a big deal about. You remember when they were like, she's got thousands of dollars worth of ice cream in her refrigerator. I'm like, she is the world's best grandmother if she has that much fucking ice cream. Like, why are you hitting? It was so weird for a minute. They were like hitting the Democrats on the ice cream for like, you remember when they're like, oh, who eats ice cream? Why is Joe Biden eating ice cream? I'm like, you joyless motherfucker. I'm not a big sweets guy, but if I go to somebody's house, they're like, you want some ice cream? As long as that shit don't have marshmallows in it, I'm like, fuck yeah, give me that ice cream.
Side note, and we'll have this on a future down ballot, I'm sure, when it becomes bigger news, but I was at Safeway the other day and there was a guy circulating petitions, and one of them, he had a handmade sign in front that said, sign on to ban ice cream. I'm like, really? How many people are you going to get to sign that one outside of Safeway, no less? Not a lot of luck for you, bro, on that one. But yeah, no, she gets to just kick back, enjoy the ice cream. And like you said, like her husband almost got killed by a home intruder. She probably wants to spend as much time with him and with her family and her kids and grandkids. Well, maybe not one of her kids, as much as possible over her final years, right? She's up there, right?
Speaking of that, that leads into the next story. Maybe one of the other reasons she's, maybe one of the other things is that, maybe her daughter announced the run, because that's our next story actually, is that Nancy Pelosi's daughter is going to be running for what could possibly be Scott Wiener's old California State Senate seat. And maybe this all just kind of came together. And she was like, well, I mean, I was thinking about getting out anyway. And with my daughter about to run, and she's like, Scott's, whatever it was. It just seems like this all seems like a rational planning by people's political teams here.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we'll move on into winners and losers where there typically are no winners. But this is going to be kind of a hybrid down ballot winners and losers because there's a few political campaign stories here. But I call this story Domino Biatch because that's usually what happens when there's one retirement at a high level. It triggers a domino effect and a sort of musical chairs of people jockeying for, to move up, quote unquote. I would say moving adjacent or moving into new seats. I don't think any elected role is bigger or more important than the next, whether it's school board or it's Congress, but people see it as a hierarchy. So Christine Pilosi, who's a longtime Democratic Party activist, and activist on a lot of fronts, also happens to be Nancy Pelosi's daughter. Very quickly after her retirement announcement, announced that she'll be running for state senate. I believe it's for Scott Wiener's district, so maybe he is up this next year, but we'll find out more from KPIX.
Today, Nancy Pelosi's daughter, Christine Pelosi, confirmed that she will not run for her mother's congressional seat when she retires, but she announced that she will run for California State Senate instead, the seat currently held by Scott Wiener. Our Kelsey Thord caught up with Pelosi today.
I'm running to represent you, San Francisco, in Sacramento, fighting for
Christine Pelosi, the daughter of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, has announced she's running not for her mother's congressional seat, but for the California State Senate.
It is time for the voters to have an opportunity to have a new voice in Congress after 40 years, and they'll have that opportunity. I'm staying out of that. I wish everybody well, and I hope that, like me, they're running a positive campaign on the issues and about the future. I also looked at where I could be the most effective.
Christine is no newcomer to politics. She's worked with both the California Democratic Party and the National Democratic Party for decades, helping to shape policy from health care to women's rights and workers' rights.
Sacramento, helping pass the California Disclose Act, advocated for all sorts of union rights and workers' rights in Sacramento, from the staff itself through We Said Enough and staff unionizing to workers' rights around the state. And of course, here in San Francisco, power for the people.
Pelosi announced her run for state Senate in a video posted to social media Monday. She's running to fill State Senator Scott Wiener's seat, who himself is running to fill her mother, Nancy Pelosi's seat in Congress. We asked Senator Wiener about Pelosi's announcement as he was in the city advocating for state funding for science research.
I don't have any comment on that. It's democracy. Anyone can run for anything they want, but I don't have a comment on that.
One person who did comment was Pelosi's mother, who was in town promoting healthcare open enrollment.
Oh, well, I don't know if she would want me to be reacting as being a mom, but I'm very proud of her. She's so talented. She's probably the most politically astute as well as knowledgeable person that I know. And she loves the state of California, wants to stay here. As a mom, that's a good idea, too. But I'm not prepared to make any statement about her because she hasn't given me that permission yet. But
Christine told me the legacy of her mother is one she cherishes deeply. But in this campaign, she knows she'll have to pave her own path.
But it's different to go and introduce myself as a candidate. And having run campaign boot camps for the past 20 years, teaching other people how to run for office, I felt it important to take my own advice, which is go on a listening tour, get to know people in the context of being a candidate, of being their representative.
Christine says one of her biggest goals is to make San Francisco and California a more affordable place for all. And while the election isn't until 2028, she says she's already doing what she can to make that happen.
I don't need an office to have a purpose. I don't need a title to advocate, and I certainly don't need to be elected to public office in order to affect public policy. Nobody does. But I am hoping that my advocacy as a private citizen and as a party activist will also translate into ultimately working on behalf of the people and building power for the people as state senator.
So we got the answer. It's 2028. So it's a long ways off. I know why he didn't comment, because if he doesn't win, he's going to be running against her. So he was like, I don't really have anything. But also maybe he didn't even know, right? Maybe they asked him about it 5 minutes after the news dropped or something. And he was just like, oh, I like his answer though. He was like, I don't know. Anybody can run for anything they want.
Yeah, if anything, he's just smart, and that's just good, good media instincts. Just no need to comment, no need to say anything, unless he did know, right? And this was all sort of orchestrated in advance, the domino effect, and there was like a agreement, I'll you announce for my seat. Nancy says I'll drop out. You endorse my daughter. I did like her Nancy's response, Christine's like, Mom, don't talk about me. Don't be talking about me, Mom. So also good instincts from her just to stay out of it. Don't make a big splash about it. Let her daughter run her own game. I do get kind of tired of this commentary, well, I don't need to be in elected office to affect change, and I'm not a career politician, and I'm different. And it's like, no, come on, you're a politician just because you haven't served in like publicly elected office before. She was the chair of the Democratic Party Women's Caucus. She ran for major party positions. She's I think she's run many times for the Central Committee in San Francisco and within the party. So she's absolutely a politician. She's a political animal. It's only natural. Like I don't begrudge her for it, but I do begrudge like this attitude of like, oh, I'm not a career politician, whatever. Good on her jumping in the game and playing the musical chairs. I'm sure Scott probably read the writing on the wall there, but yeah, now we have our answer. He is midterm, so this race won't be until 2028. So if he were to, for whatever reason, be unsuccessful running for Nancy's seat, it could set up a pretty interesting fight for his own seat. Although I don't know if he's hit his term limit yet. There's a 12-year maximum service limit in Sacramento now, whether you're in the state senate or the assembly.
Yeah, I don't know how long he's been in that seat. Maybe he's terming out.
It's not even so much that, like he's I think he was in the assembly prior to this too, so he's got a certain number of service years in play. So once you hit 12 now, according to the law, you've got to step down. No matter, you could have served 8 years in the assembly and 4 years in the Senate, or vice versa, or all 12 years in the Senate. The assembly runs every 2 years, so it makes it a little more challenging, and that's more like Congress in that way. So good luck to Miss Pilosi and Mrs. Pilosi, and we'll see who else jumps into that race. I have a feeling that race is going to be quite a bit more competitive in terms of the sheer volume of people running for it, the state Senate seat, than Representative Pelosi's seat. Yeah, it's a real big task running for Congress, and you have to have quite an apparatus around you and a base to build from that Senator Wiener has, that I don't know many other people in San Francisco have, outside of like Willie Brown, and he ain't running for the seat.
Right, so, he's done. He's done.
Right, but like a London Breed who was recalled, right? Like,
yeah, I was wondering about that. That was the only person that even came to mind when I thought about who might possibly try to challenge Scott Wiener in that the primary. It was the only person that came to mind at all.
Yeah, and with after the recall, like, she's lost a lot of political clout, right? Too. So that there's just not as much opportunity there, and a lot could be used to attack her and bring, kind of cut her down during the campaign. So maybe I think she might be not interested in going out those slings and arrows for the time being, at least, and still kind of rebuilding her base. So we'll see what happens. And like I said, we'll be covering this a lot on Downballot, I'm sure, over the next few years. But the immediate issue is next year and the midterms and the 2026 race, and we'll see who else jumps in to try to fill former Speaker Pelosi's seat. But good luck to all of them. We'll follow avidly, even though we don't make endorsements here. We like to just make sure people are aware. We like to educate.
I'm not going to I don't know that much about. I don't care. I do like that he'll piss off both Dan Bidandi and Austin Bennett if he goes to the House of Representatives. They've both said pretty nasty and homophobic things about him. So,
sure.
In that way, sure. It's like the same reason I voted yes on Prop 50, which is coming up next, is I just don't like fucking Doug LaMalfa up in the North State. I was like, get him the fuck out of here.
Speaking of Potato Bidandi, looks like Eric Swalwell, while he hasn't officially announced, is being floated as a potential gubernatorial candidate next year as well too. So just FYI, speaking of a broad field. So we'll have a lot more fun to discuss then. Anyway, so let's move on down the winners and losers docket. Mostly winners in this case, unless you were rooting against Prop 50 or Measure A in Santa Clara County. But the next couple stories are about what happened on election night, which we covered a bit on election night. But we're going to hear about what happened with Prop 50 from our folks at ABC 7.
Here in California, Proposition 50 is poised to pass easily. That'll allow the state to temporarily end its independent process for shaping congressional districts and adopt new maps to oust 5 Republicans.
We have team coverage of the 2025 special election. ABC News reporter Nicole D'Antonio is in D.C. with a look at the national results. But first, let's go to Zach Fuentes in the newsroom with more on Prop 50. Zach?
Yeah, so now with these new maps, California Democrats are going to be in a position to more easily flip 5 red seats blue in the 2026 midterms. Now, it's not guaranteed to be a success, and even if it is, Democrats are still outnumbered by efforts in other Republican states. In his remarks last night, Governor Gavin Newsom made a direct call to action to 5 Democratic states, asking them to join California with more mid-decade redistricting.
We need the state of Virginia. We need the state of Maryland. We need our friends in New York, in Illinois, in Colorado. We need to see other states with their remarkable leaders.
Reaction has already come in from President Trump. He called last night's vote a scam and rigged on social media. Critics say the redrawing of the maps is going to disenfranchise voters.
I think it's worth noting that California Democrats took the power away from the people for their own political gain.
And so moving forward, advisors to the governor told ABC 7 News that they are expecting him to be a surrogate on the campaign trail to help get other Democrats elected nationwide. Live in the newsroom, Zach Fuentes, ABC 7 News.
All right, Zach, thank you. Now we do want to take a closer look at how the vote is breaking down across the state. Overwhelmingly, you see a lot of green. That's marking, obviously, the yes votes for Prop 50. No, taking 36% of the votes right there. You can see a lot of the gray is focused on both the Northern California and maybe Central California rural areas. If we do want to click into different counties around the Bay, you can see Contra Costa County overwhelmingly 70% voting yes. We'll head into Marin, 80% there voting yes. Santa Clara County 71, 29% of Santa Clara County voters saying no though there. We do want to go into Southern California. What they were pointing out is that 4 of the counties down here, which overwhelmingly voted Republican in the presidential race, are actually voting yes now for Prop 50. So that was something interesting to note. I'll take you back out to the state where, again, you can just see how people voted for it, mostly green, that marking the passing of Prop 50.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was going to be like that. I thought it might be closer. It was a blowout. It was the map is almost the same actually as remember when they tried to recall Newsom? The map looks almost identical.
Very much so. It really just broke down on party lines. And when it comes to independents, predominant number of independents vote Democratic and vote blue. And the urban areas, the coastal areas consistently vote blue heavy. The Central Valley, not so much. It was interesting, some of the Inland Empire counties, but the margins were probably a lot slimmer there. But yeah, it was very much a trouncing, and it really mimics the makeup, the voter makeup of the state. So I think what that shows is that both sides, or at least the Democrats, did their job and really sold this as let's resist, fight back against Trump. It's about us versus them, right? Mentality, and really took the whole, whatever you want to call it, the Independent Redistricting Commission, the sort of the more politically wonky kind of approach that that was really kind of swaying me at first in terms of setting bad precedent. It really took that out of the picture and just really made this about we need to defend our democracy and ensure that there were checks and balances on Trump. And it's just really, it's kind of hilarious to see the Republicans lighting their hair on fire, saying the Democrats stole this election and tried and forced something on people, when in fact they actually voted on it, whereas opposed to Texas, where it's just the legislature that just did it. They changed their districts on their own. They didn't ask the voters to weigh in at all. So folks still had free will and free vote here, even though it was a very politically and partisan charged kind of election. They still put it to a vote. So people weighed in, and it's just sour grapes for Trump and others to say that it was rigged. And I love Trump his conjecture that because we have all mail vote by mail or mail-in ballots here, everyone gets a mail-in ballot, that somehow shuts Republicans out, when in fact
Republicans get mail too.
Yeah, and they skew older. They skew towards folks who like mail and like getting mail and like using the mail.
Did my
and
grandson send me a letter?
Right, and don't want to leave the house, right, and in some ways can't leave the house, they're getting too old to leave the house, right? There are lots of old people that yell at oranges in the Republican Party, so that notion that that's shutting them out is hilarious. It's just they're shutting themselves out. I mean, the Republican Party is dying in California. The Democratic Party isn't doing a whole lot better, to be honest with you, in terms of growth and expansion, but they're certainly not attriting at the level that the Republican Party is. To the point where, again, we have super majorities in both houses of the state legislature, which is unprecedented, and that's not going away anytime soon. So if they really want to be relevant, they're going to have to mobilize and get more people energized around their movement. It's happening in other states.
Or they could chill the fuck out. and maybe get more voters by chilling the fuck out.
That would also help. I mean, they are winning the day in some younger populations, right? Some of the
that's
Gen
actually
Zers and others.
the problem with that is that they're looking at, like, that all comes from this one study where because I looked into this, the study was like 3,500 people of all age groups and genders. And so when you break it down, you're looking at, like, the study was only a couple hundred young men. So, like, you can't really glean anything from that particular study.
Absolutely. And even then, despite, younger people making up a bigger part of the population over time, as older folks die off, it's like you're losing your older base and gaining a younger base that isn't consistent in terms of voting and participating. Like they can have opinions, they can be polled and say their opinion, but at the end of the day, the youth share of the vote, whether it's Democrat or Republican or whatever, is incredibly small compared to seniors and boomers and folks in yours and my age demographic. Young people just don't vote, no matter what their partisan leanings are, in a high enough clip to make a significant impact in any race. It's very rare. Like the Obama movement and coalition was one exception that proves the rule. But it's very rare when young people have a significant sway on our elections. So if they're going to hang their hat on that, they're cruising for a bruising for a long time.
And the demographic that they're citing is like young white men between 18 and 25. Yeah. And again, like I said, it's all based on like a slice of an already fairly small study, and that no other like surveys or whatever have like reproduced that result even in a small way. So I don't know that that's the case, because it just, you're just pulling 200 fucking people out of the whole country or whatever, 300 people in a certain demographic out of the whole country. You ain't getting shit as far as information off of 200 people out of the whole country.
Absolutely. So the margin of error there is probably pretty large. And also it all depends on what you're asking, how you're asking the question, the options you're giving people, how you're framing things. So there's a lot that can be done to manipulate polling data, and that's why I don't tend to trust polling data. I trust votes. I trust like what actually happens at the ballot box. And here it was pretty obvious, 2-1, at least in California as a state. They're not interested in Trump's agenda, and they want to make sure that we're doing everything we can as Californians to hold our ground. So this is also a very, I think, prideful kind of vote too about California, and saying like, no, they really made it about us versus them, California versus Texas, right? Leveraging everything that all the progressive vibes in California to pass the measure, and it worked. They had great message. I think they stayed on brand and on message the whole time. Gavin was on point the whole time. Even Tom Steyer with his ads, even though he's he had some self-aggrandizing ads towards the end there that were all about him and not about Prop 50.
Well, that's because he knew that's about the same time I think that the Republicans stopped spending money on it. Was probably the time that Tom Steyer started just doing ads for Tom Steyer, because everybody kind of saw the writing on the wall, right?
Yeah, 100%. So just floating his own brand, right? But they stayed on brand the whole time. They stayed on message, and this is the reward you get for staying on brand and staying consistent and not getting distracted by the shiny thing or by Arnold Schwarzenegger or other people trying to call you out with their more wonky arguments around public policy, which is also really funny to hear Republicans arguing about public policy and good government. That's just hilarious. So they kind of flipped the script here and really took the Republican tack of just of attacking, going to the real base vibes of people, like getting right into their soul and being like touching people in ways that are going to fire them up, right? And not trying to make some elaborate case for it. Like it really was just about like stop Trump. And now we're going to find out, but in the next story, the Measure A campaign here in Santa Clara County, which was a tax measure to help fill the gap in drastic cuts that are coming down from the federal government to county services. They did this. They took the same. They started out on attack of really hyping the logistics and the healthcare workers that were going to be laid off and how the hospital system works and all these things. And eventually they realized the better solution would be to tie themselves to Prop 50 and use their messaging and say, no, this is about Trump's cutting our budget. We need to help to look after our people. fight back. And we'll see what happened and the results right here from NBC Bay Area.
In the South Bay, there was a big issue. It appears voters passed a new sales tax increase. This is for Santa Clara County. Measure A is a proposal that supporters say will help protect funding for hospitals and public safety after big funding cuts in the federal budget. But as NBC's Marianne Favre reports, county leaders say the measure is a lifeline, but not a cure.
Measure A supporters erupted in cheers last night as election results poured in, indicating voters were on track to approve the 0.625 cent general sales tax. It'll raise $330 million a year to protect hospitals and health care as Santa Clara County faces $1 billion in federal Medicaid cuts. Medicaid is the single largest revenue source for Santa Clara Valley Health Care. CEO Paul Lawrence considers Measure A a lifeline.
We are going to preserve those critical and essential services, so emergency room capacity, trauma care.
County Executive James Williams says even with voters passing Measure A, the county still will likely need to find places to cut.
What Measure A does is it gets us a very important step of the way there. We still have hundreds of millions to go.
The county runs 4 hospitals, Valley Medical Center, Regional, and O'Connor Hospital in San Jose, and St. Louis in Gilroy. CEO Paul Lawrence says moving forward with plans to streamline services among the 4 centers will be critical.
We will have to, as a healthcare system, do what we said we were going to do, is consolidate, streamline, and make sure that we operate efficiently given what resources we do have.
But for now, he says, thanks to voters, Measure A will help ensure county hospitals can continue to provide critical care, not just in ERs, but in cancer care and behavioral health. The Measure A sales tax increase will go into effect in April of next year and expire in 5 years. In San Jose, Marianne Favreau, NBC Bay Area News.
Someone in chat mentioned there was a fella at the campaign event who was like incredibly happy about that sales tax. Did you see him?
Yes, I actually know that guy pretty well. He's a young volunteer activist, and he's pretty much that's him. That's very much on brand for him. He's a very exuberant, shall we say, dude. So I did enjoy, though, that there was a county supervisor in the same clip who was bouncing up and down, sort of similar, with a similar vibe. So it was certainly a joyful atmosphere. I think there was a lot of worry with this measure amongst the supporters. The whole board of supervisors unanimously put it on the ballot. A lot of folks invested a lot of political capital in this fight, and the polling was very tight. So again, don't.
And did it end up being pretty tight in the end?
Not really. It was about a 15-point win, which is significant for
that's gigantic.
Yeah, about 57% in favor, which is great. It didn't require a 2/3 vote because the measure itself, it was put on the ballot by the supervisors, but also it is a general tax, so it's not specifically targeted to, or it's not required to be spent on the healthcare system. However, the cuts being as significant as they are to the healthcare system,
there's not a whole lot of other places that fucking money is going to go.
Correct, and the reason why groups like the DA and deputy sheriffs and other and public safety officials supported it was primarily because they didn't want to see their budgets cut to fill the gap in the healthcare system, right? So it was certainly an all hands on deck situation for them, and a lot of people invested a lot of time and energy. And if it had failed, it would have not only been just drastic cuts to county services, but it would have been a lot of political hand wringing and a lot of tails being tucked between the legs, and potentially some political losses that could have been portended by a defeat of this measure. So, all in all, a good night for them. So it's why you had supervisors bouncing up and down with the same exuberance as campaign volunteers. The good wife went to that party, by the way, a little late, but as she reported back, it was very, very fun, very good atmosphere, and excellent food. It was at a lovely restaurant in Willow Glen, Tony Willow Glen. So she had a great time. So a good time was had by all on election night here in Santa Clara County.
All right,
except for the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
Up next, we're going to go up a little ways north of me, up in the town of Berkeley. Turning Point USA had an event at UC Berkeley, and we'll let the clip run, but I'm just going to tell you they got exactly what they wanted from the event, I think.
Yep, let's do it.
Night of protests turns bloody at the final stop of the controversial college tour. Several protesters taken into custody outside the Turning Point USA event at UC Berkeley. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dan Ashley. The conservative group's nationwide tour ended tonight here in the Bay Area, and that stop comes exactly 2 months ago to the day when founder Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at the first event of the tour in Utah. For this breaking news update, let's go to ABC 7 News reporter Frances Wang. She's live on the Cal campus where the event just wrapped up not long ago. Frances, you saw a lot of protesters and a lot of security, too.
Yeah, Dan, organizers expected these protesters, many of them showing up hours before doors even opened. There were some tense, even violent moments you can imagine with protesters and attendees just standing within inches of each other. At one point, police even had to move the line.
Where were you 2 months ago today when you heard Charlie had been shot?
The Turning Point USA tour ended here at UC Berkeley with hundreds packed into Zellerbach Hall. Outside, students and other demonstrators chanted and protested throughout the night.
They're using our facilities and resources to do it, which I think is just crazy. It's like, go somewhere, we don't want you here.
Events like this should never happen on this campus or anywhere again.
As people here for the Turning Point USA event gathered here in line, they have just been let in, but as you can see, the protesters are upset, yelling at police who are standing there ready with riot gear. Tensions escalated. Fights, fireworks, smoke bombs erupted, creating chaos and confusion. At least one person was hurt, multiple arrested. Attendees and supporters of Turning Point's founder Charlie Kirk not deterred.
When you see someone that courageous with their faith, you're like, why am I not that courageous with my faith?
Oh, look, a college student.
That courageous with my faith. I should be not afraid to wear a shirt that says Jesus on it, even though everyone looked at me today and gave me dirty looks. It's like, that's okay.
I want to encourage free ideas expression. I don't want one side to dominate the other. And I think there's valid points on both sides.
Speakers, including actor Rob Schneider, questioning free speech here on and addressing the protesters outside.
You're coming from a place of emotion. And that's tough.
Even without Kirk, the night and Turning Point USA tour concluded with his signature Prove Me Wrong format. Attendees given time to line up and ask questions or share their points of view. And Dan, there were some ticketing issues which many of the speakers blamed on the university. As for the protesters, they remained outside throughout the entire event. They remained until the attendees were let out, chanting and yelling at the people here at Turning Point USA tonight. Police essentially had to escort many of those attendees out and off campus tonight.
So this is why they chose Berkeley to end the tour even before the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? They knew that this would happen. I kind of feel like these outside groups, I don't care what their ideology is. I don't think that they should just rent a hall somewhere. And if they want to have an event in Berkeley, they should just go rent a fucking hall from a private place. And I mean that if MoveOn.org or Indivisible or anybody wants to come and do this, they should fucking have to just I know they're going to, some student group wants to have them in. Well, then have the student group run the event. Don't you know what I'm saying? This is Turning Point USA's national organization running this event. Did you see all the fucking lighting and all that shit? They ain't got that shit at the fucking hall. That was all brought in by this national organization. I'm not saying that the students shouldn't be able to have their Turning Point USA event. It just should, the Turning Point USA from the campus should have to run it. This was clearly not the campus group running anything. When you saw the production value, this was looked like CPAC in there.
Yeah, very much so. And but the campus or the university itself apparently was managing the process of renting the facility and apparently the ticketing too. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with a student organization or a club hosting an event, on campus, but they should be the ones having to figure out space for it and getting access. And as a public university, I think Berkeley owes its students and the people and taxpayers, a little more of a, I hate to use a Fox term, but fair and balanced approach. And typically it would be something where you'd have, it'd be like a debate or a forum, right, where you have Turning Point, and maybe you have a MoveOn.org coming together to share ideas, right, and have a real serious debate or conversation, as opposed to this single-sided, basically a rally.
This is a rally.
Yeah, it's a political rally on the public dime. Would they have candidates or other causes coming in doing this kind of thing? Would they allow that to happen? I mean, it does happen. Like campaigns do come to college campuses and organize, but usually it's student led. It's not sanctioned by the university by any means. But you're right. I think Turning Point definitely chose this as the end point of their tour, regardless of what happened to Mr. Kirk, because they wanted something. They absolutely want. They invite these. The whole point of the events, right, is challenge. What is it? Challenge me or debate me, basically. Prove
Also,
me wrong. That's exactly the mentality they take.
And I just want to point out, they're like, oh, they debated the students. Bullshit. You want to debate one of the students? Find a grad student in the poli-sci program. Give that motherfucker his own mic, put him on the stage. Like, you want to have a debate, have absolutely. A debate. Don't because this is like this shit drives me crazy. Ben Shapiro does this, fucking Steven Crowder does this. They have people line up to come up and talk, and the security guard controls the mic. You don't get more or less equal time. The security guard decides when you're done, because the person on the stage can just say that you're done. The sound system is set up in such a way that if the person on the stage is talking, there's a side chain on it, and it lowers the volume of the microphone of the person in the audience. And so this isn't really a debate. This is a spectacle, right? This isn't
correct.
And this isn't like productive debate. I don't care. I wish that when these things happen, nobody showed up, right? Just the fucking weirdos that are going to, like, in a perfect world, nobody would show up. They'd be like, oh, do you want to go protest that? You'd be like, why? But I don't live in a perfect world, and I don't fucking control anybody. And I don't know, like, Berkeley's the kind of place that it is. And, if you want to bring like a far right event to Berkeley, you're going to get this every time. And, as far as I can tell, So far as I can tell, this was fairly mild. I mean, I don't think that it's good that guy got beat up, but we don't know. All we saw was the aftermath too. We don't know. It's like that Han shot first shit in the Star Wars universe. You just never fucking know.
Yeah. Right. We don't know. But they knew exactly what they were getting into, and what they want the spectacle. They want to get on the news. They want to be more relevant.
It drives
right?
the narrative that the left is violent, essentially.
Right, exactly. And if Turning Point USA, if Charlie Kirk hadn't been shot, if Turning Point USA came and did a quiet event and did an event somewhere in the Central Valley or out in Cocoa County or something, or Yolo County, or in California forever, right? No one would bat an eye, and they'd have an event. They'd probably have people show up for their thing, but there wouldn't be protests. There wouldn't be a need for there wouldn't be a news story, really. It would just be ho hum, right? So they absolutely want to paint the left as violent and invite this kind of reaction, because it fits their narrative. And they also want to be relevant too, especially now that Charlie's no longer there to make them more relevant as a national figure. They need this kind of coverage just to be relevant in the first place, because they are, especially in Berkeley, like the people who attended this were probably the MAGA contingent from Berkeley, like everyone in that room.
Well,
like,
the other thing that they do,
contingent.
we noticed at these events, like let's say there was one in LA and then there was one in San Diego. Well, you'd see the same sort. We spotted this before, where
the AstroTurf.
People were probably coming from maybe as far away as Sacramento to attend this, but I bet the protesters were all locals. Or by locals, I mean like Oakland, Berkeley, maybe as far as Fremont, maybe.
Right.
Like
students too. Frankly, I'm more and locals. I mean, if you've been to Berkeley, it's I've probably seen a few of those folks out there before. So they brought it on themselves, and it's unfortunate that anyone got hurt in this situation, but it could have been avoided. So that was. I don't think Berkeley's going to learn its lesson anytime soon, but.
again, like there, you look at, if you go look at the list of speakers, they're supposed to be like this student group where I dare you to find anybody under 30 that was on that fucking stage too. Like that's, maybe like a student organizer from Berkeley or whatever, maybe, but they paint themselves as a student group, but then they have like people over 30, most of the time over 35, like shouting down fucking 19-year-olds and shit. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing?
Are you telling me Rob Schneider doesn't speak for the youth of America?
Man, that's the biggest audience that Rob Schneider has had in like 10 years.
Except for that time, I think he like sang the national anthem at a Giant game or something. But yeah,
did he get booed?
I don't know if folks knew his politics at the time. I think he was as a fan showing up. But anyway, it all smacks of astroturfing, and I don't know what the future of Turning Point USA is. But I also don't think that UC Berkeley is going to learn their lesson either. I mean, we've already covered them recently.
UC Berkeley is never going to learn whatever the fuck lesson that fucking Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk thinks they're going to learn. And just go read a fucking history book about the city of Berkeley. My fucking God.
Sure. But they also brought this on themselves too, right? And they had to have had some inkling that this was going to happen. So they brought it on themselves as well too. So
I'm honestly kind of surprised that only one person got like roughed up at all, because I'm sorry, Berkeley, it's not the students. I don't know, about the Sharps. There are a lot of people my age group that fucking ran the fucking Nazi punks out of Berkeley in the late 80s. Those people were probably there too.
Well, like you said, we didn't see the whole story, right? We probably didn't see the whole the beginning, the middle, or the aftermath. So there might have been a lot more going on that we didn't get from that news hit. But anyway, that's local news for you. Not necessarily, you aren't always going to get the full story.
I mean, fuck the police, but Turning Point USA has resources in the hundreds of millions of dollars. You would think that they could provide some security. Although then you don't really want goons hired by Turning Point USA providing security. I don't know what the solution is here. I just think these national organizations, and I don't know how you do it, but these giant national organizations, no matter what their political affiliation is, should have to just go rent a hall somewhere.
Well, I mean, I hate to make light of anyone dying, but it doesn't seem like they do a great job of security when their founder was shot at one of their events.
Well, I mean, that
killed,
was that guy was like on a roof, and he wasn't a sniper, but he knew how to handle a firearm and stuff. So
yeah, there were some basic failures there of security. I would say I would get just basics, what I know about protection. But
yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, like, I don't know, don't shoot podcasters, but like, I don't know, like this like, I just wish these fucking people in our age cohort would like argue with other people in our age cohort a little more often, because these people are all terrified. They'd be afraid to fucking talk to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
sure. Some people are. A lot of people are actually. I'm shunned. No one wants to debate the councilman. Anyway, we should move on and get last story here on winners and losers. Everyone's losing when it comes to AI. At least when Mayor Ed 209 is involved. We're going to find out more about
this again. We call things downballot-y. This story is pretty fucking downballot-y, isn't it?
And it tracks so well. So we'll learn more about what's going on in San Jose with Mayor Ed 209 basically inviting his tech bros in to help educate the people about AI.
The field of artificial intelligence is quickly becoming a staple of life. San Jose city leaders are taking steps to ensure everyone has equal access and knowledge to use that tech to improve their lives. KTVU South Bay reporter Jesse Gary's live in downtown San Jose to explain. Hi, Jesse.
Claudine, how are you doing? A city's library system has historically been a haven for knowledge seekers. Now San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan using buildings of books to build a bridge to an AI future of tomorrow for everyone today.
AI for all, which puts us on the path to being the most AI literate city in the world.
Shut the whole fuck up. I hate this already.
One floor above the fray of the one-day AI Government Coalition Summit in San Jose, Mayor Matt Mahan and others announcing a collaborative effort to level the tech playing field.
We are in the midst of the biggest technological transformation since the internet, or maybe even the advent of electricity.
The lightning in a bottle leading this change is artificial intelligence. San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan on Wednesday announcing a new initiative with partners at Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and the Bay Area Council that'll expand access to AI to everyone through the city's library system.
Through a digital platform, so online, there's a website that's going to have access to training resources from these three industry leaders. And then also, the really exciting part for us is to have classes in person in our San Jose libraries.
Library Director Jill Bourne says the conversion of space for in-person classes is underway.
It's certainly an idealistic vision. Why not? Shouldn't restrict access.
Officials say promoting AI learning as a cradle-to-grave exercise will allow a leveling of the tech divide, which sees some soaring to new heights, while many others flounder.
If we don't act, that gap will define the next decade of opportunity.
The job market is changing rapidly, yet the World Economic Forum reports that only half of workers have access to adequate training and training opportunities.
Officials envision people from all walks of life walking in or logging on, AI for all, to learn from scratch or improve their knowledge base, leading to certification and job potentials.
Sometimes it's hard to get a job when you don't have a certificate or a background of schooling or anything like that.
We cannot let AI be something that only a few people have access to.
Beta testing for online underway right now. In-person classes starting in 2026. We're live in downtown San Jose this evening. Jesse Gary, KTVU, Fox 2 News. Claudine, back up to you in Oakland.
What the whole entire fuck?
Right, and on top of it, leveraging our public library system to do it because he can, because he's the mayor apparently, and the library's deathly afraid of losing their budget and getting cut, so they'll go along with whatever he wants if it makes him happy. Yeah, you saw the mayor there, flanked by all the tech bros and gals, talking about how we need more access to these tools, and it's just more performative BS and just trying to shove this down everyone's throat. Not like anyone with an internet connection. Granted, not everyone has an internet connection. Can hop on ChatGPT for free. I've used it myself. Even it's not like you don't have access to these tools, and they're not readily accessible. It's just another way to promote these bros and their companies and get more of their branding in front of people, so that we'll all get used to buying their shit and buying into the ads on their platforms and all the other things that they're trying to sell us. So it's just part and parcel to the agenda of dehumanizing our society and making us more about ones and zeros than real nuanced and full 3D people, a 3D society, just going more 2D. And that it's unfortunate, but it tracks completely with Mayor Ed 209's entire
Dude, when
mentality.
Homegirl said that this might be the most important advance since electricity, I almost fucking puked on my desk.
Right, tell that to fucking Thomas Edison, bro. Or Ben Franklin. And I don't think we sound naive in that at all. I think they sound a little bit more hyperbolic. And every one of these bubbles, whether it's social media, whether it's the internet, it's been transformational, but we're not talking about like the Industrial Revolution was something that fundamentally changed the world, and it created the opportunity for things like AI, right? Without electricity, there isn't AI. So yet to be seen the true impacts and the true breadth of it, but to call it like the best thing since sliced bread, I think is getting ahead of ourselves a bit. We haven't seen the full potential of it yet. We also haven't seen the detriments of it yet. We also haven't seen the limitations of it yet.
I mean, all I see it used for is to generate fucking fake pictures for people to use on Facebook to like have spam posts about like, I don't know, fucking name your favorite athlete. A lot of it's like, for a while, a lot of it is like whoever your favorite athlete was. It could be even fucking Steph Curry, right? Steph Curry attends memorial for Charlie Kirk, and there's an AI generated fucking Steph Curry at a Turning Point USA event. Right. And everybody in this like, oh bless, and shit in the fucking comments. That's what I see it being used for mostly, is like engagement farming, and like engagement farming of people who are if they're like, oh, we need to increase tech literacy. Well, that's not really how it's being used on the least tech literate to like trick them and to play to their already existing biases through generating fake images of known entities who should be suing everybody for doing this with their likeness.
Right. And the mayor himself admitting to using AI to write his, speeches and his comments when he goes to public events, right, and community events. I was at an event the other day that I helped put on, and he absolutely came with a speech that was written by AI, despite the fact that he has a speech writer on his staff, like someone who is literally, his title is speech writer. And I wonder what this dude does, or if that guy is really an AI creation himself, right? Because that's pretty much what he uses it for, is just to make things easier for him, and just be able to be more performative, to do more performative events and speeches in a day and not really be thoughtful or learn about any of the community organizations or events he's trying to be a part of. He's just showing up to do his 5 and dive and using AI to help him, right? And in my case, I mean, my experiences with it are like trying to use nowadays, instead of customer service, right, where you can call somebody and talk to someone or have an interaction with someone, even if there's someone like on the other side of the world, right, in a customer service center, at least you're talking to a person and having a real generative conversation. Instead, I find myself asking the same question of the AI chatbot 5 billion times and getting the same shit response. And not getting like, was this response useful to you? No, here's what I want to know. And it spits out the same response over and over and over again. It's not learning anything. It's not, absorbing what I'm trying to say. And I got a lot further talking to someone the other day on customer service than I did from their chatbot. And I told them as much. So if that's what this really is all about, is replacing humans with, lesser capable, digital entities that aren't really solving any problems. Are we really saving time? Are we
the only thing I swear to you, the only thing it would be good at would be like if you are, talking to a chatbot and the chatbot is like, hey, but we've had this technology, like somebody in chat is saying, we've had this for years, right? The chatbot is like, what is the nature of your concern? And maybe you don't have to check a box now. Maybe in plain text, you can say, oh, I had something on subscribe and save on Amazon and I said I need it now, and then I ordered it, and then it charged me for the one that I ordered and said I need it now, and then the very next day the subscribe and save went through, and now I have more toilet paper than anybody could ever need, actually, and I'd like to cancel this order, and then like it sends you to somebody, right? Whereas, right now, I imagine, you do that and it's like, oh, well, here's where you go to cancel the order on the website. And you're like,
yeah, here's more information. Here's more information on how to do what you already did. Right. Here's more information on how to do what got you into the fucked up place with the mistake in the first place. Like, have you tried this? Have you tried doing exactly what you did already? And you told me you just told me.
Have you heard of our subscribe and save program?
Right. Right. And allegedly, it's supposed to get smarter, right, as it answers more questions and learns more and all that crap. And frankly, there are some useful there's some use to it, but it's never going to me replace
I like the one where it's like human. It's like, hey, this thing can summarize this email for you, and you're like, why the email is 6 sentences?
Right. The summary is like longer than the email, right? Like I've seen that quite a bit. So it's Google's trying to summarize like an email thread that I had. And it's like, I don't need you to tell me. I can read. It's like one sentence is back and forth. It's very clear. Like Joe asked how much tickets were for the show, and Bob told him how much they were. Right.
You're like, I've been a party to this conversation for like 7 emails actually at this point. I have a pretty good idea.
You're just coming in all Johnny. You're coming in Johnny come lately, right? With your AI trying to like tell me what I already know. So yeah, and again, who knows? Maybe we are being naive, and it will just be the best thing since electricity, and will change the world, right? But even the internet, right? The internet itself doesn't function without people, without the human element. It really doesn't, right? The internet's not going to run itself. The internet is a collection of information that's generated by people and by human interaction. So it's just a tool. It's not the replacement. It's not the thing. It's not a person. So I think the more we remember that and try to use it for those purposes, I think it could be helpful. But I think the more we try to treat it like this sort of replacement that's going to make our lives more efficient and make our lives better, has the internet really made us more efficient? Has it made our lives better? Has it made our society, move forward? I would argue that yes and no, right? In some ways, yes, but in some ways it's made us more complacent and more stagnated and more, tied up on these devices rather than, having, paying attention to what's going on around us, right? Especially when we're on the road and and driving our cars, as a great example. So
So real quick,
the jury is still out. But
if I want to talk to somebody who's going to play guess the next word, I'll just go find somebody who's on a whole lot of cocaine at a party, and then ask them about some fucking important issue or whatever.
Oh man, that would be really fun. Yeah, coked out AI. We got to see that. Anyway, well, that's winners and losers for tonight. We're going to move on to getting your shit together. And I do hate to make light and use this platform to talk about dead animals. We're going to hear about justice for Kit Kat and why one supervisor is using this as a means as the death of a bodega cat to go after autonomous vehicles.
Supervisor Jackie Fielder in San Francisco is calling for self-driving cars to be regulated after the death of a beloved bodega cat in the city's Mission District. The supervisor is introducing a resolution calling on the state legislature and the governor to give counties a say in whether autonomous vehicles like Waymo can operate. As it stands now, self-driving car companies are regulated by the DMV and the state PUC. Fielder spoke out at Randa's Market, where last week a Waymo car struck and killed Kit Kat, the tabby cat that belonged to the store's owner.
The future of autonomous vehicles should be decided by people, not tech oligarchs and their politicians.
Yes. You know, I'm not a politician. I don't know anything about legislation. I just hope and pray that these cars would be safer for animals and human.
San Jose State Professor Ahmed Benafa tells KTVU a patchwork of regulations could drive self-driving car companies out of California. Waymo declined to comment on the proposed resolution.
So I wonder what I don't even know how to say the thing. How did the word decide is the wrong word. How does the fucking self-driving car decide whether or not to slam on the brakes if there's a squirrel or a cat or...
I don't know. I cannot begin to explain how those cars work and how they respond. I mean, we've seen the challenges with them, right? With the incessantly honking cars in the parking garage and the crossing guard who says, anecdotally that they were almost run over. But for the most, from what I can tell, as much as we were criticizing AI earlier, these cars probably drive a little better than human drivers. I mean, a human's going to have I think it's going to be no better or worse at, they've run over cats and squirrels and raccoons and possum and all deer and all big ass animals too. All the time this happens with human driven vehicles. So we cover it on the show. The human driven vehicles drive right into structures. We're going to find out more later on in the show tonight about that. So I don't know that there seems to be a lot of blame going around towards the autonomous vehicles when really humans are just as bad at driving them as computers are. But I have no idea how a autonomous vehicle recognizes the difference between a cat and a squirrel. But at the end of the day, is a cat's life worth more than a squirrel's, right? I don't know. It's just because it's the beloved bodega cat. What if they had the beloved bodega possum, right? I think they probably just as upset about that. But
I would be a possum is no joke. That's a secure. That's like better than a pit bull.
Yeah, they do not give a fuck. Possums absolutely do not give a fuck. We had one living in our yard for quite a while, and man, you even go near that mother. Like, they're not running away from you; they're running at you. They're like, dude, this is my spot. We had one come almost right in our dog's doggy door one night, just looking for food. Like, didn't give a fuck at all. Just walked, like, was halfway in the house before the dog, jumped at it and finally did scare it away. But it had no shame at all. It was just walking right into the house like it owned the place. So don't mess with possums and raccoons too. They don't give a fuck either.
All right, let's move on to Downballot / Recall Watch, where the whole show is political, but this is more laser focused on local politics and who's in what seat and all that kind of stuff. It looks like Daniel Laurie, non-affectionately referred to as Mayor Ed 210 around here, has appointed someone for the District 4 supervisor seat, and it's after the guy got recalled over the park, the Great Highway Park, and it's I guess somebody that doesn't really have a history in San Francisco politics in any sort of meaningful way, but probably, I'm going to guess, has written a check to people associated with Daniel Laurie at least once in their life.
I mean, one could only assume, right? I haven't heard much about this person before. She's Filipina, and my wife she's the first Filipina council or supervisor ever. My wife, who's a huge Filipina activist, has never heard of her before. So absolutely seems like a plant for the mayor's agenda, which is exactly what you would expect him to do with the power to appoint. And we're going to find out more from Raj in NBC Bay Area about what's going on.
A shakeup in San Francisco. Today, Mayor Lurie appointed a new supervisor to represent District 4. That's the Sunset. His pick is a political newcomer. Here's NBC's Christy Smith.
I, Bea Alcaraz,
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
The newest member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors says she's ready to serve District 4.
I will work to bring all the residents of this district together to secure the future of the Sunset. This is our chance to have a seat at the table.
a bridge builder, a problem solver, and someone who cares deeply about their neighborhood and this city as a whole. That is what ultimately led to Bea Alcaraz.
Isabella Bea Alcaraz is a lifelong resident of the Sunset, 29 years old and former owner of a pet supply store, an art and music teacher. She has never worked in government.
That's a bold choice, surprising to quite a few people, including myself. I think it's a gamble. This is going to be one of the most important decisions that Mayor Lurie faces in this, term. And I think that he's, taking a gamble on what they're calling a fresh face.
Alcaraz is being appointed to fill the seat left vacant after Supervisor Joel Engardio was recalled by district residents angry over his support for Prop K, which turned part of the Great Highway into a park. Alcaraz says her goal is to bring people together and listen.
I want to hear your concerns and design community-informed solutions. I don't want people to just feel included. I want to actually include them. As your supervisor, if that means working towards a compromise on the Great Highway, then that's what we'll do. If that means making an amendment to the family zoning plan to strengthen it and help us maintain local control, I'm prepared to take that action.
After the swearing in, they stopped at a community center where meals were being served. Alcaraz will hold the seat at least until June, when a special election will determine who will serve out the rest of Engardio's term. In San Francisco, Christy Smith, NBC Bay Area News.
You sound a very focused group. I don't know. I was expecting it to be somebody who's I was expecting to be somebody who you would associate more with having like a lot of capital, just based on what I know about Daniel Lurie. I don't know. She might be kind of being thrown under the bus here, because without any political experience, like she's like, oh, compromise on the Great Highway and stuff. She probably shouldn't have said that, because it's the fucking thing's there. There's no compromise. The fucking park is there. People are skateboarding there. People are riding their bikes there and getting into bicycle accidents there. The park is there. There's no compromise about the park. It's there. And it's
right.
Not
the
going
vote
anywhere.
went down. Yeah, the vote went down. It's happened. You're going to have to, the compromise will be you have to float a ballot measure to turn it back, or to convert part of it back to the Great Highway, whatever. I don't know what, you're right. I don't know what the compromise is. I would say this, in terms of capital, what I feel like Lurie's doing here, and it makes some political sense, is he's buying political capital. So you've got someone who does not have that capital, does not have that background, that political savvy, or the political base, or the donor base, right? He can provide that to her, right? He can give her legitimacy. He can lift
so
up
if
someone.
she manages to win the special election, she belongs to him.
Correct, right? And even now, she kind of belongs to him. Like he's reached out and he's created her, right? Like, as opposed to picking more of a political insider,
not for
or
nothing.
someone who already has.
He created her as a political entity. She did run a pet store and was an art teacher. Like, she's a person who had a career prior to this.
A life.
Actually, for 29, this is, I'd be like, oh, if I met her at a party, I'd be like, you were a teacher and you ran a pet store? I'm like, I'd be pretty impressed with this person, actually. It's
sure. And
if she was running or whatever, I don't know. I'd maybe, it's Daniel Lurie. It's him and the fucking grossness of his tech, sort of tech bro, sort of, we're going to fucking disrupt and fix everything attitude. And it's kind of fucking, I don't know, casting a fucking shadow on her that I don't know. I don't know that she deserves this. Like, not that she doesn't. I don't know. Well, you're appointed. You didn't win. I don't think anybody who didn't win deserves the office. But I feel like there's some shade getting cast on her that she doesn't deserve too.
Possibly. I mean, I think if anything, it's the shade of the people that were against the recall and, wanted, and the people in the Sunset who voted for this, right? And the people around the city. But again, I think he's by doing this, there wasn't really a whole, as far as I can tell, big public process around the appointment. There was no vetting, public vetting. This was all done behind closed doors. The first thing I heard about it was when this person was appointed. It's not like this next story we have about the sheriff replacement, where at least they had a town hall and they had the finalists, the people who have been kind of selected or stepped up, had to face the people. This person's never had to face anyone. We have no idea who else was being considered, if anyone else was being considered, and what the process looked like. So this is, regardless of the reasons and the wherefores, this is absolutely a political pick on his part and a political move on his part to try and get an ally. And if she's saying things like compromising on the family zoning policy, which is his policy, by the way, she's saying the right things. She's going to build that community, but he is going to, he's given her this opportunity. And if she hasn't come out and said, like, and sometimes in these cases, you appoint someone who's kind of like a steward, right? The politically classy move would be to appoint someone who is not going to run, for the office, just someone to hold the office, someone to represent the people, like an art teacher, like a pet store owner, right? Who a person from the community who is not literally a career politician, right? As I talked about before, but really is just there like, hey, I'll step up for 6 months or a year to hold this office and represent the people, and then I'll go back to my life.
Right. It looks good on the old resume.
About that. Yeah, she didn't say anything about that. So it looks like she's absolutely going to be running, for this seat and has political aspirations, right, of whatever they might be, and had aspirations. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been in the mix to begin with, and he wouldn't have selected her to begin with. I don't think. He's a very political creature, despite his background as well, being a political outsider. And it tracks. Like he's picking more folks outside the establishment that he can own, because he's created them and he's given them this largesse through his power position now, right? So he's just trying to win more allies and taking advantage, as he should, as any politician should, of this opportunity to basically put his finger on the scales in the next election in this seat too, regardless of whether former Supervisor Engardio decides to run again for his seat. He's put this person at a distinct advantage. And it's a very savvy move. He's reaching out also to a population, both the API community and the Phil-Am community, that are consistently feel like they're marginalized. Especially the Phil-Am community feels very unseen and very erased. And putting someone into power from that community, he is ingratiating himself to that community even more. And it's a very strong political base he can use to just continue to build his power. So it's a savvy move, I think, politically. And I feel like that's exactly what's going on here. Is he's just trying to build more political clout by having someone he can control, and someone he maybe not control in the traditional sense, but at least have sway over, right? And like she owes him, right? If she has a political future, she's going to owe it to Daniel Lurie. And that could come into play next year. It could come into play 10 years from now. It depends on how long this plays out and how long his career plays out and where his trajectory takes him. But it's just another person who he can count on to be an ally down the road. And for a guy who needs allies, he's trying to build credibility because he is an outsider, and there is a substantial pushback on him within the city structure. So the more power and the more allies he can get in the Board of Supervisors and in City Hall, the better for his political future as well. So.
And you never know. Maybe she just bucks and just does like actually what she thinks is good for the community, and like everything we're saying here is totally wrong.
I would hope that. There are so many times on this show that I hope I'm wrong, right? That I hope I would love to be proven wrong. And again, I don't want to begrudge her. I don't want to make any assumptions necessarily about her intentions. I do want to make assumptions about his intentions. And I feel much more comfortable doing that because he has a track record, right? So yeah, let's hope that she is an independent voice, does represent the community well, but right from the start talking about a compromise on something that's already happened, that people have voted on, there's no compromise left. They're really, and frankly, the folks that floated and succeeded in passing the recall, they weren't interested in compromise either, right? They just wanted him out because they didn't like this they didn't like the park. They didn't like that he did this and he supported this, and they just wanted him out. There was no compromise there. Compromise would have been, let's work with you. Let's talk. Okay, you supported this. We didn't like it. How can we, figure out some sort of way to make it a win-win for everyone? No, they floated a recall and they got him. They ousted him from office over it. So there's no compromise on either side in this.
It's also interesting, just like they're like, oh, well, we didn't get to really choose about the park, and then they fucking vote him out, and then nobody gets to choose who replaces him. Like, it's like
right. Yeah, and I mean, there'll be an election but it's like next year. Like, she has all this time. She has time to build a political base and build a donor base and get ready to go. And she'll have the advantage of being the incumbent and being able to say, I am the supervisor, as opposed to all the challengers that come at her. And again, we'll see if Supervisor Engardio decides to challenge her as well. But this makes it a lot harder when you've got the mayor, backing this person and really. In a full-throated way, kind of, empowering her.
All right, we got one more here before we get to and another thing. This is the continuing saga of the San Mateo County Sheriff. Like you said, unlike the replacement of the recalled supervisor in San Francisco, it seems like there's going to be a more public process to replace San Mateo County Sheriff. This is from Fox 2 News, and we're going to maybe learn a little bit about the three frontrunners, the three people who are being considered for the job.
Vision that each one of them has as they hope to occupy that office. Jesse.
Christina, good evening to you. And each of the candidates has a strong law enforcement background, as you just mentioned, and a willingness to help right the ship that is the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. The board's job is to choose which of the three would best fit the county. After more than a year of political drama, court filings, and public hearings, San Mateo County is within days and three choices of having a new sheriff.
San Mateo County is home. It's where I grew up and where I learned the community.
As a teenager, I was an explorer, and I had gone through the San Mateo County Sheriff's Explorer Academy.
I have a heart for public service. I have the experience and compassion to add value to the sheriff's office.
Ken Binder, the current police chief in Gilroy and former Santa Clara County undersheriff. David Lazar, a former SFPD deputy chief, and Brian Travis, the chief for the Solano Community College District, are the three remaining candidates for the top job at the sheriff's office. County Board of Supervisors narrowed a crowded field, and Wednesday will select one of the three to replace Christina Corpus. She was removed from office last month under allegations of corruption in office and creating a toxic culture.
We are a representative democracy. We did vote for those 5 supervisors all over the county. We gave them 84% of the people voted to delegate authority to them to remove the sheriff for misconduct.
If you have an election, that's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. By appointing an interim sheriff, they're speeding up the process.
Each candidate touts his decades of law enforcement experience, collaborative leadership approach, and communication skills as key factors allowing them to take action day one.
On the first day, the undersheriff will have to leave his position. I will be bringing back all the members that have been suspended or left.
The first thing I'm going to do is stabilize the organization by providing honest leadership that allows communication in both directions, from top down and bottom up.
I will put in place a new executive team after receiving input from the DSA, the OSS, and our valued support staff.
With 2 more appearances left to make an impression, each candidate given an opportunity to appeal directly to the Board of Supervisors.
And I have the experience of leading a large metropolitan sheriff's office organization. So I'm the person that's going to move the sheriff's office forward.
Trust isn't rebuilt with slogans. It's rebuilt with consistency and honesty.
I want the supervisors to be a close partner with me as the sheriff.
Each candidate will take questions from the San Mateo County residents on Monday, and then on Wednesday, they get grilled by the board again before the board will ultimately vote on which candidate will become the next sheriff of San Mateo County. We're live in our South Bay Bureau this evening. Jesse Gary, KTVU, Fox 2 News. Christina, have a great weekend.
The guy that's from the Solano County is probably trying to get the fuck out of Dodge before California forever happens.
I mean, who knows though? Maybe if he doesn't get this job, there might be a police chief job there in the new city. That because they'll have a lot more people there and need more public safety. So again, I don't know how these three were arrived at. I don't know what the pool looked like, but basically got 30 bros ready to take the place of a brown woman. So not necessarily a win, but then again, it's kind of a mess up there. Maybe this should have been under get your shit together. And again, you've got the 5 supervisors who are going to be deciding for the whole county, who's going to be the head of their public safety office. But like was mentioned, the voters said, we'll let you do this. And they've not only elected these people, but they also voted to give them the power to do this. So it's just the end of a long, arduous process that probably could have been solved a lot sooner if they just recalled the sheriff in the first place. But they didn't want to go down that road and spend that money and spend that political will and resources. They wanted they wanted to be able to blame the people for giving them the power to do it rather than doing it themselves. So it ended up taking a lot longer and spending more money than they probably should have. So the long national nightmare is almost over. And we'll see what comes out. We'll surely cover it here on Downballot, but not terribly exciting, the crop of candidates they have to pull from here. And they're all going to say the same thing. I'm going to crack down on the corruption, and I'm going to be a good communicator, even though that one dude was basically communicating from his car, apparently, during the interview or the public forum. And the other guy from Solano County or whatever had the backdrop of the Golden Gate Bridge, which is, by the way, not in San Mateo County at all. Like, couldn't be bothered to get like a backdrop of like Redwood City or or San Mateo itself or Half Moon Bay, right? Or even just the coast.
To be fair, the Dumbarton Bridge looks like shit.
That's true. Although that's technically, I think, in Santa Clara County, or at least.
That's right. You'd have to do the San Mateo Bridge. I don't even know what that looks like.
It looks much like the Dumbarton Bridge, actually, just bigger and longer.
So the one thing that they're going to have to deal with is like the only thing that they really have to deal with is like who in this county is living for free inside of a government building. That's like their big thing that they got to tackle. It seems like.
Right, and commuting to Idaho, in addition to weeding out all the corruption that apparently existed under Sheriff Corpus, they're going to have to figure out how they can get their police chiefs actually not living at the sheriff's office. So more to come. We'll find out who wins and who has the upper hand in the eventual election in that space too. I can't imagine any of them are not going to run if they were to get the seat in the next election. So it'll be a barn burner regardless. And who knows? Maybe Sheriff Corpus will jump in the race herself and challenge them again and test the waters. But I mean, yet to be seen. We'll cover it when it happens.
That'd be great if she jumps in and wins and then sues the fucking county anyway for firing her in the first place.
She still should sue. I mean, I imagine she's planning the lawsuit already, and it's going to happen sooner or later now that it's all said and done. So, again, more to come, and we'll absolutely bring you the next chapter in this saga right here on Downballot.
All right. Well, we have car versus structure as our and another thing, but only kinda. Is a pool really a structure? I guess it is.
I don't know. It did. So the car went through a fence apparently before it hit the pool. But if you listen to the driver, who survived, by the way, and is totally fine, it does sound like it was a car versus structure situation. So it's a nice brief clip, and we'll hear from ABC7 about what happened.
This morning, some people in the North Bay are waking up to a car in their pool, literally. A driver plowed through a fence.
Literally.
Complex in Napa last night. This was on Jefferson Avenue off of Calistoga. The woman says she was coming home from dropping off her grandson when she hit the fence and went into the pool.
Grateful I didn't have my grandson with me. I'm grateful that I didn't hurt their pool more. I'm grateful I'm alive.
Police do not believe drugs or alcohol were factors in this crash. As for the car, a towing company was not able to pull it out of the pool last night. We're told it needed permission from the property manager to tear down part of the fence in order to give a tow truck and a crane access to the car.
She you know what though? I bet it sounds like she didn't say anything. So if I was her lawyer, I'd be like, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's what you say. You're like, I hit the fence and I went into the pool and I'm glad nobody was hurt. Because those are facts already kind of on the record based on the fact that there's a fucking giant hole in the fence and the car's in the pool.
The car is literally in the pool. I love that line from the news anchor. And it's not figuratively in the pool. It's literally
right. How do you have a car practically in the pool?
I don't know. But yeah, no, once again, right, in building off of our last car versus structure, where the drivers drove into someone's living room, right? The whole story and no information on why this happened. Okay, drugs and alcohol were apparently not involved. Okay, fine. How does someone just drive through, like, up a hill, through a fence, and into a pool, right? Like, random. That doesn't just randomly happen. No matter how old or even drugged up the driver might be, frankly. So what led to this? Where's the context? Once again, local news just letting us down because they just want to talk about a car being in a pool.
Right. They might as well have just shown the fucking image of the car in the pool. Been like, look at what we found.
Like, a neighbor called and said there was a car, and woke up and saw a car in their pool, and the driver was nowhere to be found. Like, they talked to the driver themselves, and they didn't know. Like, maybe you're right. Maybe didn't seem like she had an attorney yet, but like, if I was her attorney, I would tell her to not say anything at all. But they interviewed her. Like, no one bothered to ask, like, hey, how did this happen? Did your foot slip on the gas? Did you hit the gas and when you meant to hit the brake? Did someone force you off the road? Was it too dark? Did you not have your glasses on? Like, how does this happen?
Did you not have your glasses? Man, you gotta need some kind of glasses for that to be the case.
Right. I mean, I have certainly had my fair share of fender benders and been in a car, I don't want to say accidents, but collisions, right? I've certainly had a number of incidents like that, but I have never in a million years come anywhere near close to driving like on someone's property, up a hill, through a fence, into a pool, or into their house, or into their living room, or smashing anyone's like front yard water fountain. Like, I've never even gone up on a curb before, except when my car has been hit and flung up on a curb. It would take the effort it would take, and
maybe early on trying to learn to parallel park, you might have.
But that's actually when it happened, when I was parallel parking once, and someone just came up and they weren't paying attention, and they veered out of their lane and sideswiped the front of my car and flung my car up onto the curb and almost knocked the car completely over. I'm glad I survived that. It could have been pretty bad, but yeah, I've never come even near close, and I've never really heard of anyone coming near close to this. This only happens. This only seems to come up on the local news, right? I wonder if can't imagine this is a going concern. But like, how? Like, that's the most fundamental question, is how. But they don't seem to want to tell that part of the story. They just want to show us a car in a pool and get us to put it on Downballot. So that's why it's on another thing, and it's not winners and losers are leading off, because it's like there's no story here. It's just a really fun, funny, and since no one died, funny and curious incident. But maybe one day they'll have more
smart,
context.
And she's like, I'll talk to you, but I'm not going to fucking incriminate myself.
Right. I would hope so. One would hope. Her lawyer probably hopes so. Her family, her grandson probably hopes so. Thank God her grandson wasn't in the car, but maybe her grandson would be able to tell us.
I don't know. She's like of an age where maybe her grandson would have been fine getting out of the car.
Yeah, well, she got out, so that's another thing. Like, how did she get out? Like, this car is submerged in the pool. Like, how did she get out? And
did she tuck and roll before the car went in the pool? Like,
right. Like, what is going on here, man? Maybe there's an underlying story here. Maybe I do like that she's so concerned about the pool. Right, that was her first thing. At least I didn't hurt the pool more.
Oh no, that's a person concerned about the hit to their insurance company, and that's a person
there you
concerned
go.
about the
that's
money.
True. That's very true. Well, they're still going to have to get this private property owner to like knock down part of their fence and let a crane come in to get the car out. So she's expensive. She's gonna her premiums are definitely going to be going up through all of this. So anyway, another one. I think it looks like structure one in this case because the pool swallowed the car.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
They can't get it out.
Jury's out on whether or not a pool is technically a structure, but.
The fence lost. The fence definitely lost in this endeavor, but the car definitely took the brunt of it. Another wonderful episode of Producer Dave. Happy to join you as always.
And as usual, if you want to read the show out, that'd be great.
Yeah, 100%. I want to thank our viewer and our listener for making this the 69th best podcast in California, according to some dude. We really appreciate you tuning in and downloading. Please tell a friend. Make sure that you go out there and get your vaccinations and get your wear your masks as things are on the rise. It's flu season, it's COVID season, so be careful. Pants are completely optional. I'm not wearing pants now. I'm not going to show you, but you can just guess as to how it looks. I'm pretty sure Producer Dave may be wearing pants. We'll find out later. We're going to leave you with Audible Smoke Signal. We do this show every Tuesday night, except when we don't, at 7:30 Pacific. And we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Peace out.
To get the party started, pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing greens. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside?
I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily.
We do what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band.
Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do.
We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want to do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want to do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and